Welcome into this Monday edition of the Oxford Exxon Podcast. Chase Parham, Neal, McCready, Clark Ford Studio right at noon for the show today. A full day of MPW Digital Podcast from McCready over here. G-Pit's here in a little bit. I'm assuming that was soft verbal that was finishing up just
that
as
is
I was
correct.
Walking in. So a lot of stuff on tap today on the, again, the MPW Digital family of podcasts. We will talk a good bit of college basketball today. Ole Miss does not make the NCAA Tournament. They are a 1 seed in the NIT. It would take 4 teams to be out in the NCAA Tournament for them to be a replacement team in March Madness, but they will play La Tech as of now. Do we know what site in Dallas? Which one is it?
The main one, Frisco.
Frisco.
The one where they played the Conference USA Tournament.
Okay, so Frisco, La Tech, Friday night, 8:30 for that one. Who do they get if they win?
They get the winner of St. Mary's and Western Kentucky. So you could get a Rick Stansbury matchup.
Well, that would be fun. I don't hate that.
Sure.
St. Mary's are they the Gales?
That's correct.
Okay.
And then the other half of Ole Miss's 8-team bracket is St. Louis, Mississippi State, Richmond, and Toledo.
Okay.
So it's conceivable Ole Miss could get Louisiana Tech, Western Kentucky, Mississippi State to get to the final.
Well, I mean, there would be some
You should have some storylines.
some matchups there. I mean,
And then it's conceivable that you could get Memphis because the other 8 teams are Colorado State, Buffalo, Davidson, North Carolina State, Memphis, Dayton, Boise State, and SMU. So I guess Ole Miss could have a Louisiana Tech, Western Kentucky, Mississippi State, Memphis run to a NIT championship.
well, I mean, that's better than playing Norfolk State and a bunch of people like that to get to the finals. At least.
Sure. Look, at the risk of pissing off a lot of people, the NIT stands for not in the tournament. And that's what it is. And it's better than not being in the NIT, but it's not the NCAA tournament. And so when people go, well, I'd rather be a 1 seed in the NIT than an 11 seed in the NCAA, it's like, well, then I don't know what to tell you.
You do get that message board. Now, look, 99.9999% understand it.
Yes.
So we're talking to a very small – we're doing the Twitter thing where we take one tweet and act like it's public opinion in the history of the world. But you will get that every year going, well, I mean, isn't it better to make the Final Four of the NIT than go one and done in the NCAA tournament? It's like, no, actually, not even a little bit. That's
No.
No one, like, I mean, I'm an idiot, but I remember. But, like, nobody remembers South Carolina won back-to-back NITs there at one point. That's not exactly a feather in your cap, if you will. So
It's just spin.
it's
Spin.
who was our coach that did that? Was it Dave Odom? Was he the coach of South
I
Carolina?
think it was Dave Odom.
Is that right?
Yeah.
What I thought, something like that. All right, so the podcast brought to you every single day by the Oxford Exxon, Highway 6 West in Oxford. You can download the Speed Pass Plus app, take advantage of some savings there. You earn points, and when you earn points, you save money with the Oxford Exxon. You also get a lunch special, $5.69, 2 sides of bread, 32-ounce drink, or stop by the hot case, pork, chicken, side items, plenty of cooking there for you at the Oxford Exxon and all Blue Sky locations in Mississippi. And again, coming to you from the Clark Ford Studio.
We are Clark Ford's in Amory, Mississippi, 662-257-1900. Call it, ask for Corey Clark. Tell Corey what Ford product you're looking for. He'll send you a quote within 15 minutes in business hours, right to the bottom line. No hassle, no haggle. You get your quote, and the rest is up to you. We're also, guests will join us on the Rafters Music and Food Hotline. Rafters Music and Food on the Square in Oxford. Be a great place this week to hang out. You can watch NCAA Tournament. You can watch Ole Miss baseball this weekend. Ole Miss and Alabama opening SEC play at Swayze on Friday. Ole Miss NIT on Friday nights. There's a lot to hang out and watch. Also, you can enjoy a burger, po' boy, live music, appetizers, great beer selection, the whole deal. All of that at Rafters Music and Food on the Square in Oxford. And also there's a location in New Albany. Probably won't be long before they're opening Rafters on the Water as well. So get out to Rafters.
I was trying to think here, looking at the question in the thread. Is the NIT the equivalent of the Liberty Bowl or Independence Bowl? It matters even less for your program than any bowl game would. Because the bowl games are, I mean, there are obviously tiers, don't get me wrong. But at the same time, they're all presented the same way. They're all on television. They're all just postseason games. The NIT is not giving you even the level of what a bowl game might give you in some sort of anything.
The NIT is the equivalent of if you're an SEC team and the SEC fulfills all of their bowl obligations, and then there's a leftover spot in the Camellia Bowl, and they go, hey, well, y'all want to come? And you go.
That's the equivalent.
Yeah, where it's better than nothing, but it's not the goal. Simple as that. It's a 68-team field, and you want to make it. And then you'd rather be one of the 16 in the NIT than not making it. You'd rather be Ole Miss today than Georgia.
Sure, yeah.
But you want to be in the field. And so if you're Ole Miss today, you can do, and I'm sure there will be some of this, there will be some spin about, whatever, it's an opportunity, and it's all fine. No one's disputing that. But if you're Ole Miss today and you're not kicking yourself over some of what happened over the course of the season, you're not being honest.
Well, because what happened, and it's what created conversation over the course of the last week, and I'm far from a March Madness pundit, but this is pretty obvious. From a positive standpoint, Ole Miss did enough to get into the tournament. They were bubble but in from a positive standpoint. Yes. They also had a lot more negatives than a lot of people they were competing against. They blew a lot of games. I'm spending 3 seconds on this because it's not even worth the conversation, but like somebody asked about Missouri. Missouri beat Illinois in the non-conference. Like Missouri had a lot of non-con wins. Ole Miss lost the 2 games in the non-con that mattered. They lost to Dayton. They lost to Wichita State. Either one of them might have been enough.
Listen, I think you could go down the list. I said this on the soft verbal, but a lot of people weren't there, so I'll repeat it here. Ole Miss fans don't remember these games a lot because they got overshadowed by football that day.
I mean, Dayton was literally right after a football game. We watched it here while we were doing the show.
Yeah, it was right before a football game.
Yeah, fair enough.
Ole Miss Dayton happened right before Ole Miss LSU.
Was it LSU? Okay.
And then Ole Miss Wichita State happened right after the end of Ole Miss Indiana in the Outback Bowl.
Right, yes.
So fans don't remember the first game because the LSU football game was so dramatic, and fans don't remember the Wichita State basketball game because they were drunk. Euphorically and otherwise.
Yeah, sure.
Those 2 games are killers. And then you get into league play. They blew a late lead at Florida. They blew a late lead at home against Georgia. They went to Georgia and lost on the heels of a really bad performance at Arkansas. They win 2 in a row and get back going. Here we go, and then they lose at home to Mississippi State. Then they get going again, and then they lose at Vanderbilt with Dessou and Pippen out.
It was such a dagger.
And you look back on that one and you go, boy, that was probably it. And then... And look, I know I'm making people mad, but if you're a realist, you're with me right now. Then they go to the tournament. They beat Carolina, and they earn that spot against LSU. And you're up 5 points in the second half because Jarkel Joyner's unconscious. Mm-hmm. And Romello White is playing a fantastic basketball game. Romello was so freaking good against LSU. I love Devontae. He's a great kid. I've enjoyed covering him for 4 years. This is not a slap on him, but he had a rough night. He only gave you 7 points. I love KJ Buffin. He's a great kid. But KJ's emotions got the best of him, and he got foul trouble, and he just didn't give them much. Mm-hmm. And then you have these 3 bench kids that have come with a lot of hype about the future of their program. Sammy Hunter, Matthew Morrell, and Austin Crowley. And I don't have the box in front of me, but combined, those 3 didn't give you anything at all. In fact, Morrell gave you a bunch of turnovers. You got nothing out of them. So on a night where you're playing for your NCAA tournament life, had you just gotten anything out of one of them, had you just gotten a typical game out of Devontae, Luis Rodriguez was good on Friday night. He gave him a lot. Had you gotten anything out of those players, we're not having this conversation today.
Yeah, you look at Schuler, 3 for 13 from the field, 1 for 5 from 3, 0 for 1 from the stripe, 36 minutes, -7 plus minus. Buffin, 5 points, all from the line. He was 0 for 4 from the field, added 5 rebounds for whatever that's worth, and played 18 minutes. Crowley, 2 points, 4 minutes. Morrell, no points, 8 minutes.
How many turnovers for Matthew? 4?
3.
3 turnovers in 8 minutes. No points.
Yeah.
Gave you nothing.
Rodriguez turned it over a couple times, but played a pretty good game. His line's good.
Yeah, Luis had a pretty good outing. LSU's going to force you into some turnovers. They're a active team.
And then Joyner, like you said, was great.
You know, I mean, so you look back and I said this on Saturday. Ole Miss has a compelling case, but Ole Miss needed the bubble to stay really big and full.
Had 2 power conference bids stolen. Hardly ever happens.
Once Georgetown won, and when Oregon State won, you knew, it's over. And then people do look at Ole Miss's quad 1 and quad 2 wins. Like, yeah, but you got more opportunities than those others. And I'm not saying it's right or wrong, but that's how it's going to be. At the end of the day, you had a chance to control your own destiny, and you did not do it. And the rest is just word salad.
Well, like 4 opportunities. I mean, seriously. I mean, I get everybody goes, hey, it shouldn't have come down to LSU, but it really didn't. I mean, you had a chance, like I said, Vanderbilt. Just so many blown games. That's what bubble teams are. They have positives, they have negatives. You parse through it, and you pick some. You don't pick some. You have to find a way to play yourself off the bubble and not leave it up to other conferences. Leave it up to bid stealers. Leave it up to the whims of a committee. Not in a negative way. Nobody's out to get anybody. Just the whims of the committee. They got to pick somebody, and you're on the list and whatever.
Well, look, you knew late in the year you had no margin for error. And you were winning games. And you go to Vanderbilt, and Scottie Pippen's not on the floor. Win the game. Just win the game. You don't have to play well. Just win. You win that game, and then come back and do what you did that next week. You beat Kentucky. You beat Vanderbilt. You beat South Carolina or whatever. You're in. And you're right now in Indianapolis today as an 11 or as a 12, whatever. And you're in the tournament, and you're going to have to play really well to beat somebody, but you're in the tournament, and you hang the banner, and everybody goes, hey, look at this. And instead, you're not in the tournament. You're in the NIT, and I don't know. I mean, I know Kermit's going to do what coaches do, and he's going to talk about it's an opportunity to play. And Andy used to say this, whenever you have an opportunity to play, it's an opportunity to play. It's a blessing. And if you love basketball, when you give an opportunity to play, great. You want to do it. And that's where they are. But this was a missed opportunity. You had a veteran team. Now, we talked about this in 10 Thoughts. I wrote about it. Some of this was out of their control, and I do think it was a big blow to them that they had their COVID issues in November. It shut them down a week before they opened the season. And so there's this 2.5 week period where I think a typical team would have gelled some, would have figured it out. They shut down. Couldn't be coached. Kermit had it. Then one of the assistants got it. I think Ronnie. I'm not sure. So they had issues. Did that stop their development? Probably did. Did it push their development back 2 weeks? It probably did. But at the risk of being a total ass here, that doesn't explain away a February 27th loss at Vanderbilt, which to me, every time I go back to it, I'm like, that was the killer. That was the dagger. Because if you're on the committee looking for a reason not to put them on, there it is. If you're on the committee going, I don't know, man, Ole Miss, look at their Vanderbilt, February the 27th.
In the inverse, as you won, 8 of your last 9 or whatever it is. You don't have that bad loss on the schedule. I get it doesn't necessarily go by conference wins, but it's one more conference win, which means you're 11-7 instead of 10-8 or whatever it ended up being. I mean, it's a huge individual game when you're talking about a team that's not very good. I mean, just win. Don't throw that extra negative on the slate. That's it. Don't throw the extra negative.
And so if you feel today that Ole Miss deserved to get in some ways you're right. Mm-hmm. But if you're honest, you look at it from a full body of work, I can make, like I told somebody today, I can make a compelling case for Ole Miss, and I can make a compelling case against Ole Miss. I can't make a compelling case against Missouri. Now, they're bitching about, we should be higher than a 9 seed. I'm like, whatever. I mean, if you're going to lose the kind of games you lost over the course of the year and you get in, you get in. You don't get to complain about seeding. Like, I think LSU, honestly, could look at it and go, how do we get an 8? We're better than that.
Oh, man. Nobody in their bracket wants them to be an 8.
Hell no.
That's a... Oof.
Look, I don't like the guy. And
we'll get there in a minute.
And I enjoyed kind of the way it ended yesterday.
Who's their one?
Michigan. You better bring a lunch the way LSU played in Nashville.
Yeah.
LSU showed up for Ole Miss. LSU ran Arkansas off the floor. And LSU was right there with Alabama. I mean, we'll talk about it in a little bit. Yeah. That was one hell of a basketball game. High-level basketball. LSU played high-level basketball this weekend. If they get past St. Bonaventure in the first round, look out.
Yeah.
Now, they're a prime candidate to get beat by St. Bonaventure, and we can all go back to making our Will Wade jokes. But if they get on any kind of a
they're
momentum,
really scary for that one there. And is the tournament Saturday? Is it Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday?
Yeah.
Okay. We'll continue talking here in a second. First about Community Mortgage, Oxford, Memphis, Soto County, and Chattanooga. Underwriting and processing is done in Memphis. They're getting local underwriting and understands your market. A leader in condo financing, the float down option, and more. You can find Jason at 662-234-2704 or JLOWE at communitymtg.com.
We're also brought to you by our friends at Grenada Nissan. If you're in the market for a Nissan vehicle, look no further than Grenada Nissan. They've got a complete selection of new and previously owned Nissan vehicles, great lease deals as well. It's GrenadaNissanUSA.com. Are you ready to play at M-Trade Park? Registration has started for both youth baseball and softball with the Oxford Park Commission. Cost to play both sports is $50 per player. They have leagues available for ages 5 to 14 in softball, 5 to 17 in baseball. The year's season will run from May the 24th through July the 2nd. The deadline to register is April the 4th. Go to oxfordparkcommission.com to sign up. Also brought to you by Landman's Fine Jewelry in Oxford. Landman's 1126 North Lamar Boulevard in Oxford. They've been serving the Oxford area for almost 75 years. Engagement rings, wedding rings, fine jewelry, watches, pearls. Someone's very worried about my car.
The insurance.
Well, the insurance and also just the warranty.
Oh, you get those now too?
If you let the warranty expire,
like you are mass casualties.
You are responsible for so much of what might happen.
Which random city did you get on that one? Or did it say like spam risk?
I think it just said spam risk.
Okay. I've been getting a lot of Yazoo City on mine.
Durant, Mississippi.
Okay, yeah.
So the people in Durant are very concerned. And thank you, by the way, for looking out for me and
your car warranty.
And my car that I owned 12 years ago.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you. Landman'sFineJewelry.com, 662-234-2777. Also brought to you by Muddy Water Camo, MuddyWaterOutdoors.com. They've got the Tri-Zone heated jacket and vest still. Buy one, get one free. That get the portable battery charger, and they'll throw the second one in free of charge there at MuddyWaterOutdoors.com. We are also brought to you by Comer Heating and Air. We're going through the whole weather cycle right now where you still might need your heat, but it's getting close to that time where you're going to need your air. Get in touch with the people at Comer. Make sure that your air conditioning system is in tip-top shape. 662-801-1777. And we just taped a Soft Verbal podcast. It's brought to you by the College Corner, your one-stop Rebel shop. 2 locations in the Jackson area, also collegecornerstore.com, plus Facebook and Instagram.
Podcast is brought to you by Visit Oxford. Visit oxfordms.com. Go to the events page, see everything going on locally as they're putting more stuff on there every single day. Oxford opening up little by little. And you will have plenty of events, plenty of pop-ups, and more tunes around town coming to various locations around the Oxford Square. You walk around, you eat, have some ice cream, listen to music, the double-decker bus tours every Friday at 3 and 4 o'clock of home SEC baseball weekends. Those start this weekend as Ole Miss faces Auburn, starting Friday night at 6:30, I believe, is the start time for that. And we'll have a little more about the Oxford Film Festival as the week moves on with Director Melanie Addington. So, again, visit oxfordms.com/events. So you mentioned it. You mentioned Will Wade. You mentioned the way things ended yesterday. Nate Oates politely asked LSU to vacate the premises once the game ended yesterday.
That's the way I remember it.
And they had a title in hand there in Tuscaloosa. I saw it. I was obviously busy with baseball, but I saw it. Did not understand exactly what had transpired, but you think it mostly revolved around one recruit was the reason for this.
Well, before the game...
Well, everyone hates Will Wade anyway.
Yeah, but before the game, Bill Armstrong, former Ole Miss assistant, now at LSU, and Antoine Petway, former Alabama player who's on Nate Oates' staff there in Tuscaloosa.
Is he a full-time assistant?
Yeah.
Okay.
They had to be separated before the game, both teams going at each other. The commissioner had to get out there.
Literally.
Yeah, literally.
Sankey.
What I loved about I got to do this for those of you who don't have, those of you who are watching will enjoy this. Those who aren't, you'll just have to use your imagination. What I love about it is during the pregame, everybody's doing this, Chase. Yeah, I told you, but and then putting it back on and they're back and forth. It was crazy. The whole deal was like, this is all a complete joke. But everybody hates Will Wade. And I think this was about Trendon Watford. He's from Alabama.
Birmingham kid.
Who just decided that he wanted to play his college basketball at LSU. I mean, because that makes all the sense in the world. So Trendon Watford's there. And the game was awesome. The actual basketball game, and credit here, by the way. We criticize officiating a lot, and usually it's deserved. That game was one of the best officiated games I have ever watched. The officials were completely on top of it, understanding it was super emotional. They could have teed up damn near everyone throughout the game. Didn't. Separated people, warned people, told people to chill.
Did their best to just...
They did a fantastic job. They actually policed the game to a point that it ended up being super high-level basketball. Alabama wins. LSU had a shot at it at the buzzer, had a shot at a tip-in that rolled around on the rim a little bit. It ends... And Nate Oates, in his celebrating.
It's like right at the buzzer.
Right at the buzzer. The play happens. LSU had the ball at the end, so it's on the LSU end of the floor, obviously, which is right by the LSU bench. Nate Oates, fist pumping. One of his fist pumpings, he tells the LSU bench.
He's looking at the LSU bench.
He appears to be looking straight at Will Wade. Get the F out of here. And LSU did not immediately get the F out of there.
Meaning for a second you thought.
I thought for a second we're going to have ourselves a post-game scrum, which will be fascinating to see how that gets penalized.
2 tournament teams.
Yeah, well, including one that's a 2 seed.
Yeah.
That's got a real shot. Because Trendon Watford did not leave the premises for a little while.
He hung around while the confetti fell.
Some things were being said, and I think there were people kind of hanging out with him, like, hey,
easy.
Let it be fuel. They're in the same bracket.
Are they in the same bracket?
Yeah. I am praying for an LSU Alabama Elite Eight. Give me that and stick it straight into my veins.
So you're pulling for both those son of a guns for the first 3 weeks of this thing.
I want to see that again because I'll tell you this. Again, credit to the officiating crew. They did a fantastic job.
But that was an SEC final that, hey, okay, great. But
I don't think they could do it again.
Trip to Final Four on the line.
I don't think they could manage the emotions again. I think it would boil over. I want it.
And you think Bama's team has a hatred for Wade as well? You think it permeates through the rosters?
Yes. Yeah, there was something there, and when you see it in a pregame between assistant coaches, that's about recruiting.
It is, yeah.
And they're going at each other now. I mean, listen, I know it's Will Wade on the federal wiretap, but let's not paint Alabama in an angelic
No, they're
light.
just a football school. They would do none of this.
Grind in the thread says Watford's recruitment was too rich for Bruce Pearl's blood. Tells you everything you need to know. Yeah. But they're in the same bracket. It's not likely, but man, I'm cheering for it. Because that game, That game was as intense a college basketball game as I've seen in a long, long time.
So you said it to me earlier. We were talking on the phone this morning. The league has a Will Wade problem.
Yeah.
He is easily the most hated coach in the league.
Yes.
LSU's, frankly, the most hated team in the league.
Yes.
Not close.
Nope.
Every team, every coach, most fan bases hate them. It runs up and down the gamut of. He appears when he got suspended briefly or whatever that was and had to do the apology. That was 2 years ago yesterday. Yesterday was the 2-year anniversary of that.
Is that right?
Yeah, I sent it to somebody last night. 2-year anniversary of that.
Wow.
Somebody like retweeted their tweet from it back in the day. And I'll go find it in a minute.
That's fine.
It's good reading.
I bet.
2 years. He's still coaching. Other than what we're talking about right now, somewhat forgotten. Now, I don't think it's over. I'm not saying that. I think they are picking teams off kind of slowly and one by one, and we'll see what happens. But we had a conversation about Les Miles the other day. I think this is very relevant to it. LSU has been able to sidestep so much of this.
So far.
With the NCAA to this point. Again, the football one is so early that there's no judgments on that whatsoever. We're in like month one of Ole Miss would tell you 5-year situation. But in general, there's not a lot of daggers toward LSU that happen very quickly. Media's not running. I mean, look, all that happened yesterday, and unless I've missed it, I haven't seen a bunch of columns about Will Wade and Nate Oates today from national media. I haven't seen Woken and them jump all over Will Wade yesterday.
The national media will not do this now because it's all we joke, but it's all in Indiana.
So we're doing amateur. We're doing purism now.
Purism and amateur, and they're going to all get together, socially distanced, I'm sure, with their mask on between bites of shrimp cocktail. But we're in kiss-ass mode, national media.
So we're not going to do recruiting roundup stuff right now.
Oh, no, sir. We're in kiss-ass mode for 3 weeks. We're in the This Is March. This is the greatest 3 weeks on the calendar. This is the greatest event ever, and I missed it so much last year. You already see it, people doing the full bracket going, isn't it beautiful? Oh, shut up. Do your job. You know what you saw yesterday. If you covered the SEC final, you know precisely what the F you just looked at. And you know who else that applies to? Greg Sankey. You know what you just looked at. And I'm going to go one further. If I'm Kermit Davis today, that's who knocked me out. And my team played well enough to win that night. It wasn't like Ole Miss showed up and kind of half-assed their way through a 21-point loss and retreated to Oxford. Nope. Played their butts off. Who'd they lose to? Lost to a team whose payroll's a hell of a lot higher than theirs.
Mm-hmm.
If I'm Kermit Davis, one of the questions I'm asking the league office is, tell me the incentive to not just go buy fill in the blank. The price on him is $200,000. If I can raise it, why shouldn't I go do it? Because you've got a federal wiretap. You know that they paid Javonte Smart. They admit it on a wiretap, and he's out there playing. Why shouldn't I go do it? If I'm Eric Musselman today, I'm on the phone. I'm going, hey, you give us one more really good player, and damn, we're a 3 seed as it is. Give me one more really good player. Why should I, Eric Musselman, not buy that player? Go hit up one of my buddies at Tyson and go, hey, this guard puts us over the top, and if we get to the Final Four, your hotel suite's on us. We got you. You can travel with the team, whatever you want.
Yeah, Woken only mentioned the game at the end of it. Nothing about the extracurriculars whatsoever yesterday.
No, because he's a puss. Oh. He's the biggest baby. You talk about somebody who has no friends. This is like, here's Indianapolis, and my friends are going to come, and I'm going to be fun. We're going to have fun this 3 weeks, and I'm going to write about what a special time this is. Give me a freaking break. You know exactly what it was you looked at on that floor in Nashville on Sunday. You know precisely what that was about, but no one will write about it. No one will talk about it because it's just taboo to talk about this was about Trendon Watford, and this was about Javonte Smart, and this was about illegal recruiting that happens. And look, you know me. I'm for the players getting something. Pay the players, whatever the case. But the deal is the rules as set right now don't allow it. The rules as set today don't allow it. And you've got Will Wade on a federal wiretap making a strong-ass offer to a player who subsequently signed with his program. So if you don't think Javonte Smart got paid a lot of money by LSU, you have to be naive and stupid enough to believe that Javonte Smart said, no, I don't want the money. I want to come for free.
Well, but even beyond that, you know how this crap works. Everybody, the top basketball players, they get paid, and then if you get caught, you get caught. That's what happens. You know what I mean? Like, everybody does a speed limit, we do whatever, and you go 78 miles an hour. No, now you're busted, and now you're caught. He was caught and not punished.
Yes.
That's the deal here. It's not even about paying or not paying. It's about you got caught.
And they kept building around Javonte Smart. Javonte Smart's not their best player. He might be their fourth best player.
Yeah, 2:05 p.m. yesterday, Woken, Twitter. Oh, what an ending. Alabama holds on as LSU misses 3 or 4 shots right in the last few seconds. Not sure what Watford was doing there. Was he afraid to get fouled after missing free throws? You've got to drive the ball.
Oh, for the love of God. That's what you write about?
And then something about how the way these things finish, we're going to be in for a real treat the next 3 weeks. Something like that.
There you go. This is March. Oh, it's so exciting. And everyone's going to tweet, there goes my bracket. I'm blocking everyone who tweets, there goes my bracket, for 3 weeks.
You're done.
You're getting blocked. No one gives a damn about your bracket.
Bracket and your fantasy football team. Those are the two things.
I'll almost forgive fantasy football teams because it's just once a week. The bracket's constant. There goes my bracket. Who cares? Of course your bracket's bad. You don't watch this stuff until the final 3 weeks of the year. It's like the people that are like, Ole Miss deserved to be in over UCSB. I mean, you haven't watched Cal Santa Barbara. How the hell do you know? You hadn't watched them play one game. They might be better than Ole Miss. They might be worse than Ole Miss. Nobody freaking knows.
Did Arkansas get a really bad break having to play this Colgate team with this weird net?
It's potentially a bad break for them because Colgate likes to go up and down the floor. Colgate is perfectly capable of upsetting Arkansas.
But they run?
Yeah, they run.
Oh, really?
Up and down.
Okay, I didn't realize that.
It's a track meet.
I thought you were going to say they played some
away
it's stuff.
But it's a game Arkansas should win. I mean, if you're Arkansas and you lose to Colgate, it's very difficult to wake up the next day and go, well, we should have been a national championship team, but we got a bad draw.
Yeah, Colgate got us. I mean,
you're a 3 seed. Who does Arkansas have after that?
I don't know. I'll pull the bracket up in a minute while we're talking.
I mean, from a draw standpoint, LSU kind of got screwed as an 8. I mean, they're better than that, but
so
whatever.
Do you think LSU gets punished? What do you think happens?
I don't know, but I think it's time for Greg Sankey to step up and do something.
He's not going to.
Well, I don't know what that is, but you got to do something because you have a Will Wade problem. You have an LSU problem. And quite frankly, no joke, if I'm Kermit Davis, I'm pissed today. I'm like, hey, so Kid X is going to cost whatever. We don't have that, but what if we did? What if I made a strong-ass offer? Hey, here's a thought. What if I make a strong-ass offer and don't talk about it on a federal wiretap? And I get the kid. Nothing happened to the guy who did get caught on a federal wiretap. So why in the hell should I think it's going to happen to me if I don't get caught on a federal wiretap? That's a fair question. And for Nate Oates to react like that, for Nate Oates to react like that, you've seen coaches win conference titles before. Coaches very rarely get personal like that. That was personal, Chase. That's, to me, had I been covering that game, my entire column would have been about, whoa, hold up. Alabama, let's just play.
Was he asked about it after the game?
I don't even think he was asked. I don't know. Maybe he was.
Yeah, I don't know.
But I would have written about it had I been there. That would have been what I would have written about. Because before the game, this thing gets personal. This is an Alabama team. Let's say that the little tip-in goes in and they lose yesterday, okay? They're still a 2 seed. The game didn't mean anything to them other than a trophy. And
they get an extra engraving on the ring or they don't.
Yeah. I mean, whatever. There was something personal in that moment. I'll go one further. Let's say Arkansas had beaten LSU on Saturday and Alabama beats Arkansas on Sunday. I don't believe, and I could be wrong, but I don't believe that Nate Oates basically dances in Eric Musselman's face and tells him and his team to get the F out of here.
There's no way.
Had it been, let's say it was Ole Miss, I don't believe he does that to Kermit Davis. Hell, I don't believe he does that to Bruce Pearl in Auburn. So it was something personal. There was something there. He doesn't do it to Rick Barnes. He's not doing that to Mike White. He's not doing that to Konzo Martin. That is personal. And if you're the SEC, you know now it happened right in front of your faces. And it just means more. And everybody playing with their mask and stuff. You know it happened. You know you have a problem. And you now know it's going to spill over into recruiting. It's the kind of problem that could take your league down, and you need to handle it.
Yeah, because suddenly it becomes, hey, Southwest Conference again.
Tell me why I should not cheat.
Yeah.
Tell me why I should not cheat. Tell me why, Commissioner Sankey, I shouldn't make a strong-ass offer and get the kid that I need to get me from the NIT and the hot seat into the NCAA tournament and a contract extension. Tell me why I
And you're not going to be very patient when he goes, well, the process is still playing out. Oh, you.
No, F you.
Yeah.
It's been playing out for 2 years. And I just lost to him again because of he and his strong-ass players. Imagine Alabama if they had Trendon Watford on that team. Holy.
Yeah, they're a 1 seed and might win the whole damn thing.
Because they might win the whole thing anyway.
Yeah.
That's the point. These people are like, well,
Yeah, 2 years ago. 2 years ago. 8:30 a.m., March 14th, 2019. Will Wade speaking. This morning I advised President Alexander, Athletic Director Joe Oliva, and the LSU Board of Supervisors that I would like to resume my duties as head basketball coach. Last week, when the university decided to place me on administrative leave, I accepted the decision without complaint as I knew they wanted time to reflect on the flurry of media reports. With the benefit of a week to consider the circumstances, I believe the university officials should allow me to resume my duties. I understand that in today's hyper-intense media environment, it's extremely difficult for any organization, particularly a public university, to stand firm in the face of rumors, leaks, and innuendo. In this case, the simple truth is I've been placed on leave because I exercised my right not to submit to a joint interview on the exact same subject matter at issue and an impending federal criminal trial in New York. My legal counsel advised the university it would be wholly inappropriate for me or anyone to submit to an interview under these circumstances. March 14th, 2019. 2 years.
2 years. So for 2 years, the rest of the league has had to kowtow to process. At some point you say, no. Done. You know what the difference between making the NCAA tournament and not making the NCAA tournament is for a basketball coach?
Everything.
Everything. Bonuses, your job stability, money, contract extensions, everything.
Assistant pools.
Let's play it out with Kermit Davis.
Yeah.
If they make the tournament and then next year fall off, what do we say? Oh, it's a rebuild.
Yeah.
He's fine.
That's 2 out of 4.
Because nobody expects Ole Miss to go to the tournament every year. No one with a realistic bone in their body. But he didn't make it. So let's say next year they fall off, and I don't know whether they will or won't. That's a conversation we can have another time. But let's say next year they fall off and they go.
Hey, he made it from year 1 with Andy's players, but hadn't made it since.
Hadn't made it since. 3 years in a row, no tournament. If Andy had gone 3 years in a row, no tournament, we'd be wanting to fire him. Why are we not? Yeah, there you go. And that builds momentum. And people get disgruntled, and all of a sudden people don't go to the games, and you're only putting half the people in, and it becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. And so if you're that guy, and if you're Kermit, and I'm making this personal, Brandon Huntley Hatfield's out there, what's to stop you? Because it's not the rules, because the rules don't mean shit. Pardon my language. The rules don't mean a damn thing. The rules don't matter. They didn't matter to Will Wade. He's still, well, Kermit, just give it a couple of weeks. I've given it a couple of years. He's still there. He just knocked me out of the tournament. Because if I beat him, I'm in the tournament today. Because Ole Miss would have played Arkansas on Saturday. And it would have been, both teams would have been kumbaya. Whatever. I mean, Arkansas got the hell out of Nashville. They were at Indianapolis Motor Speedway on Sunday morning. You telling me they cared?
Really?
Yeah. You telling me they cared about that game? They didn't give a shit. Yeah. Pardon my language, everyone. They didn't care. They knew they were good. And sure enough, they were right. They were a 3 seed, which is what they would have been had they beaten LSU on Saturday. They would have been a 3 seed. They knew it. Like, screw it. Let's roll. Ole Miss wouldn't have gotten – let's say Ole Miss beats Arkansas. Hell, let's say Ole Miss beats Arkansas and Alabama. They're still an 11 seed. Yeah. The bracket's done. You don't – it's too late.
They couldn't be an 11 because a 10. winner can't do whatever. But yes,
But you know my point. They're not jumping up to they're red hot. They're a 2 seed. No, of course not. You are what you are. So my point is that happens like that, and he goes, what's to stop me?
Yeah.
There are no rules. If I tell Carson, If I tell Carson, look, man, you got to walk the dogs, you got to pick up the yard, and you got to vacuum upstairs to get your allowance. Okay? And he goes, all right. And he doesn't walk the dogs, he doesn't pick up the yard, and he doesn't vacuum upstairs, and I still give him his allowance. What's the message that I teach him? What's the message that I send him? You're getting your allowance no matter what. The rest of this is just lip service. It's word salad. But if I tell him, hey, man, you want to get your allowance? You don't walk the dogs, and then he doesn't do it, and he doesn't get his allowance. The message that he gets right there is, look, if I want my allowance, this is the things I got to do. Mm-hmm. Well, this is no different. The message is, if you cheat, you're going to get in. If you cheat and get caught, you're going to get in trouble. Right now, it's if you cheat and get caught by the feds on a wiretap, nothing's going to happen to you. Well, then why the hell am I following the rules? For my own health? These are hyper-competitive people. Kermit Davis wants to win. I promise you that.
With a lot of money at stake. A lot of money at stake.
You think Frank Martin just decided, hey, I just want to lose now? You think Mike White, you know Mike White. Hell, I know Mike White. Mike White hates losing. Look at him. He gets the veins bulging in his neck and stuff. And Mike's a nice dude. I mean, Mike's a really good person. Mike White hates to lose. So if you're Mike White, you're like, why the hell am I not buying players? I mean, I don't mean, hey, come to campus, we'll take care of you stuff. Everybody does that.
No, I'm
talking about payday.
Shopping.
I'm talking about payday on a big-time player. Why not? You think Rick Barnes suddenly hates winning? I mean, what's the message that you're sending? The message that you're sending is, it's bad. It's a bad look. Screw the media. The media is meaningless. But if you're Sankey, you got to do something about this.
No, you got
because you watched it boil over. You watched it boil over. It boiled over from a team in Alabama that is a 2 seed headed to the NCAA tournament with just won all the awards, and they're upset about it.
Sankey's lucky from a media standpoint. While it doesn't matter, because you're right, the problem is the internal cancer. It's the coaches. It's what could permeate from it.
Of course,
what's coming from it. That's the problem. But even from a media standpoint, it at least gets more attention if it's Kentucky that says it. Cal does that yesterday. Oh, hold on. What happened?
I know.
But Nate Oates, whatever, it's Alabama, it's LSU. March.
I mean, it was a big-time moment. To me, it was a big moment. I was running on the treadmill watching that game, and I almost fell when he did it.
You could hear it.
Oh, I mean, yeah. Well, I was.
You had headphones.
I had headphones. I couldn't even hear the game. I'm watching Chase. This is how emotional this was. I'm watching this game, no volume. I have music on. I'm 6 miles into a run. I mean, I'm cheering for the game to go to overtime because I'm like, hey, if they'll play overtime, I'll get one more mile out of this. And I'm watching it. And when that happened, I read his lips. I went, did he say what? And then he did. And I was, oh my God, I thought they were going to fight. So here's my point. This is why I'm sorry. I'm on a bad rant today. I apologize. But if you're in the media and you're in the building and you see that happen and you hear it happen and you don't write about it, you're covering it up. That was the story. Herb Jones and John Petty Jr. finally getting a title can wait till tomorrow. It really can. Mm-hmm. The story is in that moment. Whoa. What was that about? Because I think I know what that was about.
And it tells you how, because I mean, I look here, places that are click machines still, your AL.coms, your TideSports.com, your places like that, no mentions that I've seen. I went through TideSports.com a second ago. No mentions. Something that would blow up your click monster. And yet still, no, can't touch that.
Can't touch that because someone's got to told you, hey, you want to cover the NCAA tournament, right?
Drink out your Powerade cup or whatever it is.
Yeah.
Watch your Zoom. Podcast brought to you in part by NE-Spark. That is service people across rural communities. 2 packages, the Ignite 100 Mbps or the Blaze. That's the 1 gig that allows these type of conversations here on the Oxford Exxon Podcast. Your hometown team bringing you world-class broadband, NE-Spark with a C.com. 662-238-3159. Phone service, parental controls, network security, and more. Find out if it's in your area. Again, going up in several new neighborhoods here in Oxford in the last couple weeks. Been hearing all about it. So find out if it's there, and if so, get it installed. 662-238-3159.
Also brought to you by Pinnacle Trust. They're based in Madison, Mississippi. They've got clients in more than 20 states, advisors in multiple states as well. Founded in 1997, they provide detailed, specialized investment management, financial planning, retirement planning for individuals and businesses, and so much more. At Pinnacle Trust, investing is treated like a commodity. Decisions are made using objective information and research, not emotions. They'll sit down with you, study your goals, listen to your dreams, study your expenses, and put forth a comprehensive, detailed financial and retirement plan built just for you. It's pintrust.com, PINNtrust.com. Mention you heard about them on the podcast. You get 10% off your first year's fees. Also brought to you by John Edwards of Regency Travel Incorporated in Memphis. If you're thinking about traveling this summer, a lot of things starting to open up, a lot of things beginning to happen. Get in touch with John. Give him some parameters. Give him a budget. Let him give you options. Let him give you his expertise. And no, you don't have to live in or near Memphis to take advantage of his services. 901-494-3387 or jedwards@regencytravel.net. First-time clients save $50 off their first book trip just by telling John you heard about Regency Travel on the podcast. Also brought to you by Oxford University Bank, OUB, locally owned and operated right here in Oxford. When you deposit money at OUB, that money and the vast majority of the bank's profits go right back into the Oxford community. OUB gives you the comfort of home, all the benefits the big mega banks provide, all the technology and products you can want, all with a personal touch. When you call OUB, you speak directly with a live person, all without having to press 10 buttons, no 5-minute wait either. Live Oxford, bankoxford.com is the website, or you can call them 662-234-6668. I'll have a mailbag up on Wednesday. It's brought to you by Whitney McNutt of Tommy Morgan Incorporated Realtors. You can get in touch with Whitney today. She sells condos, land, commercial, real estate, residential family homes, all your real estate needs in Oxford and Tupelo. 662-567-2573 or 662-842-3844.
You mentioned Frank Martin. Is he going to get fired? Is it just some players trying to make sure he doesn't? What's going on there?
I think they're having conversations along those lines.
Okay. I just searched on Twitter to make sure I hadn't missed anything. And
a lot of talk about what would happen with him, what would happen with that job.
Mm-hmm. He's a good basketball coach.
He's a hell of a good basketball coach.
He's had a rough year health-wise. I mean, it's
Yeah, the whole COVID thing really impacted them.
Mm-hmm. We had plenty of games. I mean, they were so late even getting started. I mean, quite Ole Miss being the latest to start, but then South Carolina kept sputtering and stopping and sputtering and stopping and just couldn't get much going. Let's see. Just we'll hit it as the week goes on. Got plenty of time to do it prior to SEC play starting on Friday. Ole Miss baseball wins 2 out of 3 against ULM over the weekend. Kind of felt like losing 2 out of 3, even though they won 2 out of 3. They get a walk-off on Saturday.
Boy, that kid on Saturday missed his location on that last pitch.
It was not where he wanted it to go. And
the catcher set up outside. Yeah. He got it inside, and you could almost see his body language as the ball's going towards the plate. He's like,
and Kevin didn't miss it.
No, he got all of it.
And that was that. On Sunday, however, though, Ole Miss played really bad baseball. It's the worst I've seen them play all year. I wrote this morning, it might end up being a really big problem. As of right now, it's probably something Ole Miss needed to see. They played a team that played tons of small ball. They had not seen that yet, and they didn't handle it very well. So we'll see how they handle it. You know, we've been talking a ton about experience versus returners. And Ole Miss's middle of their defense, they've played less than 40 games combined in college baseball. They have they've played no SEC games. You know, look at Hayden Dunhurst. Hadn't played an SEC game yet. You look at Jacob Gonzalez, he's a true freshman. He and Chatney have only played 4 games or something like that together. They just haven't played much by that point, and I think it showed because, I mean, there was some Little League stuff going on there. I mean, ULM scored at least 2 and maybe 3 times running first and third pickoffs where they score the run prior to the out being made between first and second. I mean, we're talking about some 9 and 10-year-old stuff.
I was going to say
that's how they took the lead on Saturday. Was they got into a rundown between first and second with 2 outs, and the guy from third got home prior to the out being played.
That's how you steal a run in middle school.
It looked like bad high school baseball. I mean, I'll be honest. Ole Miss got so focused on the rundown between first and second that both times they threw home late. They couldn't. If there's any doubt, you have to get the ball to the catcher and then go from there and stop that and then just figure it out. And
well, that's why a lot of times in high school you'll just let the runner at first take second.
A little catcher indifference. Go, hey, we're not even going to screw around with this.
I always wanted that to be credited as a steal for me. But if I was catching, I wanted it to be a catcher's indifference.
I tell you the one our high school coach would do that would, because the other team's seeing this, so they're getting so pissed off. But in high school, you only have two umpires. Well, one's watching first base and one watches the ball. Nobody's paying attention. So if you had runners on second and third, you could bunt. The runner on third is going to score because you're throwing to first base to get the out. The runner on second, instead of going to third, if he gets like halfway and just cuts across the grass.
What?
And comes back into the line about halfway down between third and home, he can get back in the line and he can score too. There's no umpire watching. The umpires are watching the ball and first base.
Oh, that would be fighting words.
You'll never see parents more pissed off on another side than when that happens. But we did that multiple times where you would score the runner from second on a bunt.
What were y'all? What was the name of your school, Hatley?
Yeah.
Were the Hatley Will Wades? Is that what y'all were?
He would. He would score two. Yeah, he'd score two on the bunts.
That's a strong-ass move right there.
In saying that, it was funny we were in high school, but opposing coaches really that could get really ugly, couldn't it?
Did you see? It was a game. It was a college game. It was Louisiana Lafayette, I think, and Southern Miss. I think it was.
I watched this whole video.
Did you see this?
Yeah.
Whoa.
So what happened?
Dude, that almost melted
It's
over.
like 3-1 Southern Miss at the time when it starts.
Yeah.
They get a grand slam. Starts with a grand slam.
Yeah.
Okay, so kid hits a grand slam, then a solo home run right after it. And it was things had gotten pretty chippy. But the next pitch, the pitcher clearly throws at the dude's head.
So on the solo home run, the cat kind of watches it.
He watches it.
And he does a little flippy thing with the bat.
It wasn't terrible.
But it wasn't putting the bat down.
No.
It was a little flippy thing. I'm not stealing your thunder.
Yeah, I know.
But I'm saying there was some build up here. So go ahead.
So next pitch, right at the dude's head.
Fastball.
He's lucky he wasn't hurt.
It hit him in the head.
Yeah. So we've got a situation. We've got some bench clearing.
Well, yeah, it's bad.
It gets pretty rough.
The umpire's like, oh, shit.
Including the one dude who's trying to fight the entire team, entire ULM team that's on deck. So they finally get it kind of spread out. The announcers, pretty country dudes, I don't know. They're like, hey, we got a situation here, whatever.
Yeah.
Next pitch, 2-run jack. Then quite the bat flip.
Well,
watch it, bat flip.
He not only watched it, he stood and admired it.
Till it hit the ground.
And then he flipped the bat.
Yeah.
He was so far down the first baseline when he flipped it that he flipped it towards his dugout, the third base dugout, and it didn't make it all the way there.
Yeah. He threw it back across and then it was the slowest home run walk I've ever seen.
Thank you. It was a walk.
You could tell the umpire was so uncomfortable that was walking with him, going, "Please God, speed up just a little bit."
You know, he was like, "Let's go, let's go."
And because when I'm watching it, I'm like, "That second baseman's going to take a swing. That third baseman's going to take a swing."
What I noticed was the people starting to gather at home plate, and I thought what we're going to have at home plate is ourselves a brawl. And the umpire's like, "This is I'm not making enough money to handle this."
Yeah.
He took 35 seconds to get around the bases.
It was slow. He was daring someone to say something.
Yeah.
Southern Miss won on a walk-off grand slam on Sunday.
Really?
Yeah. It was not a good weekend for Lafayette at all. They had a rough one.
Man, that was nuts.
But
that's all that bat flip stuff is it's a really good way to get one of your teammates hurt.
So, look, Ole Miss played really bad defense. Their pitchers are doing a poor job fielding the baseball. Ole Miss has committed 17 errors this season, and 5 are by pitchers. They're just throwing the thing away. They're not picking it up. They need a little PFP right now.
I'd rather be my pitchers committing those than the middle infield.
Well, yeah, no doubt.
Yeah.
But it's when you play a small ball team, it's getting overemphasized there. And now, look, hardly anybody in the SEC does this crap. But guess everybody can.
Well, that was my question.
Yeah.
Now, this is on film now. Everyone's going to see it.
Yeah.
Are people going to try to small ball them a little bit?
Might a little bit. But when it's not what you do.
Right.
If your team doesn't bunt, suddenly telling your team to bunt is
right.
I know all the Little League coaches out there and all, but it's
either in your DNA or it's not.
Yeah,
right,
and it's not. I mean, this Ole Miss team might go, hey, suddenly we're going to start bunting all over the place. I mean, oh my God, it would be a disaster. They've only got 2 or 3 starters who I would trust to bunt. Because Mike doesn't hardly. I mean, despite reputation on the message board, he does not bunt much at all. They have like 1 sacrifice all year or something. Because ULM was doing all sorts of crap. I mean, it was hit and runs, it was steals, it was. Now they couldn't steal it all in Nunhurst, but they could get into pickles and have somebody throw the ball away.
When you're the least talented team and you're trying to steal a game, that's how you do it.
Well, they did it.
And they did it.
Almost did it twice, frankly.
Phew.
I thought they played pretty damn well all weekend. I did. I thought they played well.
It was almost a really good weekend for North Louisiana college baseball.
Because La Tech scared Arkansas on Friday night and won on Sunday.
Took Arkansas to extras on Friday and then beat them 2-0 on Sunday. And then ULM was a pitch away from
taking the series from
maybe taking a series at Ole Miss where both teams would be like, yeah, it's pretty good.
Yeah. Now they won't play each other because they hate one another, but, it's fine. Ole Miss has some pitching issues. We'll see when Casey gets back. I didn't get a lot of warm and fuzzies out of Mike that Doug's going to throw this week.
I read your quote, and I didn't either. His quote to you.
Yeah, sure. Yeah. He said they were going to make a decision by Wednesday or Thursday, and I don't know. We'll see.
Well, you can't rush it.
No, at all.
Because if you rush it and you have a 4-week setback, well, now you just cost yourself. You just can't rush it.
And it looks like Mother Nature might take one of these games away this week against La Tech, but they've got some issues from just getting innings in this week because I think Josh Mallett's probably will start the first or only game this week against La Tech, but Drew McDaniel has got to be at least ready to pitch on Saturday again in Doug's place because you can't predict that. Chofie's already out. They got some other issues, but there's just stuff here that Ole Miss has got to figure out how to best manage these 18 innings if there are 18 innings in the midweek as they move forward. However, Wednesday looks like a total washout in northern Louisiana.
Yeah, the forecast in Ruston on Wednesday, thunderstorms, potential for severe thunderstorms, high of 74, chance of rain 70%. And they wouldn't wait and play it at nighttime, so they'd either get it in or not.
Mike bunted a good bit like 10 years ago. I don't know that he's been in the top half of the league in bunting. And
by the way, tomorrow night,
got some weather there too.
Chance of rain 70%. Scattered thunderstorms during the evening becoming more widespread overnights. They probably get it in. It's a turf field, but
is it all turf?
It looked like it was all turf.
Really? Like M-Trade? Like just everything?
It's what it looked like. It looks like they did a really, really nice job with it. If you're not from Ruston, you wouldn't notice the difference. It looked like they'd really.
Do they have is the mound dirt?
It looked like one of those artificial mounds.
Really?
It's what it looked like.
No kidding. Now that's interesting. I didn't expect
It's what
that.
it looked like.
I haven't watched them play any to see the. I got caught up on that LSU game that went like 13 innings on Friday night or Saturday night or whatever night it was, but that was it. UTSA had like 112 chances to win a baseball game and just crapped all over themselves every time.
Tech had a bunch of chances on Friday and couldn't get it done, and then Arkansas got them late. It was kind of like as soon as that happened, you were like, well, you had your chances. You had your moments. You're not going to keep getting infinite amounts against a better team.
I loved today, by the way, Indiana basketball was fired Archie Miller, and their PR guy deserves such a raise today because the quote from the athletic director was, quote, private philanthropic funding will take care of all transition costs and obligations. A booster paid the buyout is what that means.
Private philanthropic funding.
Yeah, private philanthropic funding is paying for all transition costs.
Will Wade takes notes. Private philanthropic funding. Private philanthropic funding.
It's like we were laughing in the press box.
Greg, what I meant was
charity.
There was some private philanthropic funding.
Yes. Yeah. It's like the internet was out at Swayze yesterday, and it took a while to get the scoreboard and everything back, but the media wireless was the first thing that comes back, and somebody came in there, and they just unplugged it and plugged it back in. I was like, hey, what would you do? And they said, we did a power cycle. And I went, hold on, what? And they said, oh, yeah, but an IT person never tells you they did a power cycle. They unplugged it and plugged it back in.
Yeah.
And I went, son of a bitch. Okay. Yeah. That's what that is. Yeah. Anyway, I don't know.
We did a power cycle. That'll be $2,000.
Well, yeah, exactly. It's oh God. All right. Drew Brees has retired. He ended the speculation. Most people thought that it would probably be on the anniversary once it had not already happened, and it was from the day that he signed with the Saints 15 years ago. So that has ended. The Saints gave Taysom Hill like $140 million, but it's all voidable as time moves on. They're trying to put a team together, and at some point that becomes complicated when you're like $100 million over the salary cap. So they're trying to figure that out, trying to get under the cap. I still think all signs are pointing toward Jameis Winston being the starting quarterback next season.
Agreed, from what I've read.
It feels like a poorly kept secret at this point. Michael Thomas renegotiated a pretty good bit of his contract to help. They're saving some dimes, trying to figure it out, kicking some more cans down the road.
Yeah.
It's at some point you got to really pay the bill.
They got a new credit card to pay for the old credit card.
That's all they've done. They're just moving some money around.
Now instead of owing Chase, they owe.
Yeah, it's called balance transfers.
Yeah,
That's
they owe
what they're doing
Amex.
right now. Yeah, they're doing that right now. Got a little charge card, making it work. But the core of the team's back. They'll be fine. Now, I don't think they're a Super Bowl contender, but they're going to put a competitive team on the field next year. We'll see what it looks like.
Well, the quarterback at one of their rivals is 46, so.
And
I know.
I'm not ready to roll that out or call it yet. Interesting day though yesterday with him hanging it up. I mean, everybody knew it, but when it finally does happen, it's kind of like, oh, he's really gone. Like it's a new era. Well, not often in professional sports can you go, hey, the leader of my team's been the same for 15 years.
I wrote about it a little bit in 10 Thoughts. I mean, I was 23 when he took that gig. Well, I was at the Mobile Register as a quasi-Saints beat reporter, covering a lot of other things. And that franchise was as close to dead in the water as you can be.
They're the San Antonio Saints if 06 does not happen.
There's no question. And 06 was magical. One of the things I remember was walking to the Dome on that Saturday night for the divisional playoff game.
Against the
Eagles. That place was hopping. New Orleans felt like Mardi Gras. There was a lot of nerves and all that stuff, and I just remember how excited people were. Brees jerseys, McAllister jerseys, Bush jerseys. Everybody was so excited about that team. And then they beat Philadelphia that night, and they go to Chicago and lose a week later. But you knew something special was happening, and it took a few years, but they got there. And to win a Super Bowl and do all that he did to make them a perennial contender for so long and to make them must-watch television. The Saints went from being an afterthought in the NFL to being a highlight.
Yeah, I mean, the Saints have spent a decade and a half being one of the, from a pure just fans knowing relevance on a team, one of the top 5 teams in the league, probably. Yeah. From the average fan knows kind of what they're doing.
Yeah, in 05, they played home games in East Rutherford, New Jersey, Baton Rouge, and San Antonio.
Yeah.
And I can't begin to tell you because I covered one of them.
Where did they play in San Antonio?
Alamo Dome.
They did play in the Alamo Dome.
Mm-hmm. Those games in Baton Rouge,
I remember those,
were awful. The atmosphere was awful. That was Jim Haslett and that team. It was bad.
A Panthers game there sticks out in my head for some reason. I don't know why.
Yeah, I covered a couple of them, and it was. Ooh.
I forgot they played that home game against the Giants.
Yeah. It was bad. The franchise was in trouble. And I think Tom Benson was ready to move them.
He was certainly.
And then they got lucky because the Dolphins medical people put the X on Drew Brees. And
I mean, it saves us from having to walk by that Houston Nut statue when we walk into the IPF every time.
No doubt.
I mean, giggity and whatnot.
I mean, we've done that before. It's a true deal. Yeah. And he ends up in New Orleans, and they introduced him that day in Metairie, and Brittany was there. And you go back and you look at the pictures of that, and they look so young. And you look at them today, and they've got this young family, and they're a huge part of the community. And I thought it was interesting in his comments yesterday that, hey, I'm not leaving. I'm staying in New Orleans. It looks like he's going to join NBC Sports.
He's already announced that.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he's doing studio work for Sunday Night Football, and then he is going to be the game analyst for Notre Dame football on Saturdays on NBC.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, he's doing color for Notre Dame football and then doing Sunday Night Studio.
He'll be super. He'll do great. He's one of those guys that, I mean, nobody is as good as their public image, but he's close.
Yeah,
I'm a fan. I mean, I'm a Brees fan. I was a quasi columnist who was not, because of my job requirement, able to cover the beat the way that you would normally cover a beat. You would have never known in my interactions with him.
I remember stories. There's several videos, movies that have been, documentaries that have been done about this, but when he came for his visit, if you will, for New Orleans in 2006, Peyton was all freaked out because the road signs and everything still weren't back up from Katrina. And Drew got, like, lost in the middle of nowhere. He couldn't find his way back out. Like, there was all sorts of problems even just getting around town. And finally, like, Peyton was like, I need to get in the car with him to show him a couple neighborhoods, or we got a problem here or whatever. But it almost sort of helped because he was like, hey, we can kind of try to lift this a little bit. We can try to make this work.
He's wired that way, because he's still – you find out about winners when they lose.
Yeah.
He's a kid from Austin. Texas didn't recruit him.
Mm-hmm. Ended up at Purdue.
Tears it up at Purdue, and a lot of people are like, he's too small. Gets hurt with the Chargers, and people go, he can't play. He's done. No way you come back from that.
Yeah. Shoulders out.
And so Drew Brees, kind of New Orleans and Drew Brees were sort of a perfect fit. He didn't know it, but it was. New Orleans was kind of counted out after Katrina, and Drew Brees was counted out, and he wanted to go to Miami, and they didn't take him.
Dante Culpepper.
And so he goes to New Orleans, and the city embraces him, and he embraced the city. And 15 years later, been a pretty good marriage.
Yeah, I'm gonna run some Major League Baseball stats by you tomorrow. I'll tease that. I've run across a couple things that you'll find really, really interesting. So we'll talk a little baseball tomorrow. We will continue some basketball talk. Sure.
Need to thank a few people for being a part of the show. Bain, Moss, and Bowen, located in historic downtown Corinth. Their firm practices a wider range of law, DUI defense to car wrecks to representing government entities. The only firm in Mississippi made up of a sitting state legislator, a former assistant district attorney, and a former circuit court judge. 662-287-1620 or 618 East Waldron Street in Corinth. Also, Alpha Specialties, located at 1670 Highway 80 in Pearl. It's your trailer-specific professional. They've got load trail. They've also got Hallmark cargo trailers. They can work with third parties to build game day trailers, concession trailers, and more. Podcast listeners can get $100, can get spare tires and wheels starting at just $100. Full selection of trailer parts and accessories, hitches, winches, straps, and more there at Alpha Specialties. It's alphaofms.com, 601-932-9798. And we're brought to you by Blue Delta Jeans. They make the best fitting, most comfortable jeans in the world because they're uniquely made for you and only you. Raw denim jeans, custom fit and hand-tailored in Tupelo, Mississippi. One size fits one at BlueDeltaJeans.com. They've been advertising with us for the past 2 years. We've always directed you to DM them to set up a time to get measured. But now, whether you're coming to Oxford or not, you can go to BlueDeltaJeans.com, get measured by their new virtual tailor, and design your very own jeans. And just for our podcast listeners, enter the discount code Rebel Grove. It's all lowercase, one word at checkout. Get 10% off your order of the best jeans, most comfortable jeans you will ever wear. And we're brought to you by The Rogue. The Rogue is your destination for fine men's clothing. Their stylists hand-select pieces from top designers, work to lifestyle to nightlife, the perfect something for everyone at The Rogue. 4450 I-55 North in Jackson or therogue.com. And last but not least, we're brought to you by Joey Erickson at Heron Gear Chevrolet. Let him help you find the vehicle you're looking for at a price you can afford. Choose from a full selection of new Chevrolet vehicles or get a great deal on numerous brands of reliable pre-owned vehicles as well. So give him a call, 662-571-2367. Tell him what you're looking for, or stop by 1685 High Street in Jackson to test drive that new or used vehicle you've been wanting, and let him earn your business.
Is dressing up in college basketball dead for coaches now that they've stopped? Does it ever go back?
I don't think so.
Leonard Hamilton a minute ago said he hopes college basketball coaches never go back to pre-pandemic ways of dressing. Loves wearing sweats. Says it's more comfortable and makes more sense standing as much as he is. Plus, he doesn't have to iron shirts anymore. Meet in the middle somewhere. Meet in the middle.
What I don't like is the pullover tent-looking shirt.
Yeah.
And I realize some coaches
The
are
garbage bag thing.
Some coaches are a little overweight and they do it, but if you're going to do it, I am in favor of the polo.
Yeah, I'm good. Like slacks, polo,
Right.
sweater,
Yeah.
dress pullover. Okay, you don't have to wear a tie. I know.
What was funny to me was watching like this year Stackhouse. He dressed to the nines no matter what. All he did were the tennis shoes with it, which is fine, whatever. And Oates wears his blazer.
Just a blazer.
He wears the blazer, no tie.
Okay.
I would not want to coach with a tie.
It would get in the way.
Yeah.
I just wonder.
Kermit doesn't wear a tie.
He dressed down a pretty good bit.
Yeah, he dressed down a lot.
Baseball coaches still wearing uniforms in 10 years?
Yeah, I think so, because
Yeah.
baseball's just
Different.
yeah.
Yeah, I think so too. So,
By the way, Marvin Hagler.
yeah. Bad man.
This was before your time.
Yeah.
But as a kid who grew up in the 80s and wide world of sports and boxing was such a big thing, and Hagler and Leonard and Roberto Duran and
Hearns.
Thomas Hitman Hearns, and Marvin Hagler was a bad man. His jaw was made of stone. His first round with Hearns remains one of the most incredible. I mean,
Everybody just throwing blows.
how they got either one of them got back up to fight the second round. Literally, someone should have just stopped when they both answered the bell for the second round and said, "Oh, screw it! Here's belts for all of you." They were. It was amazing. It was a different era, but that was back when boxers were superstars,
Sure.
and everyone. If you said Marvin Hagler, everyone said marvelous. Everyone knew his name. If you said Thomas Hearns, Hitman. Ray Leonard, Sugar.
People couldn't do that today.
Not anymore. Totally different era. But those middleweight fighters.
That's what's interesting too. The middleweight guys.
Well, and the heavyweights were that way
Well,
too.
no,
but
yeah.
but the middleweight guys, like when
That it did move down classification.
the build up to the Ray Leonard, Roberto Duran rematch in New Orleans was big time.
It was in the dome.
Oh yeah. That was the No Mas fight where Duran quit.
Yeah.
You don't get that anymore. But that was must-watch television. I mean, you just didn't want to miss it. I mean, you were locked in. People talked about it for weeks leading up to it.
Also, we talked about, I mean, from a wrong era standpoint, like Wilder has the personality. He would have been a multi superstar, world famous in that era.
Oh yeah, would have made
With that right hand and the whole deal.
would have made gazillions.
Yeah, and he's obviously fine.
Yeah,
but I mean,
but he would have been a household name.
yeah,
and
they are unifying the heavyweight title. Did you see that?
I did not.
Anthony Joshua and Tyson Fury are going to unify the belts.
See, if you had told me today, hey Neal, who is Anthony Joshua? I would have said,
I could have played boxer or middle reliever, and you'd have had
well,
no idea.
that would actually be a fun game.
Yeah, you could do that. So, anyway, all right. Plenty more to come throughout the week. Normal time tomorrow. Basketball, baseball, again, some Major League Baseball as well, and we'll go from there. So appreciate everybody in the stream. Appreciate everybody listening in podcast form. Have a good day. Talk to you tomorrow.